So you hit 45 and you realize that the rumors are true. You haven't changed anything, and yet the fat is slowly creeping up. You're feeling stiffer when you wake up in the morning, and after a long day of yard work, it takes you longer to recover. So you decide to hop on maybe a keto or carnivore diet and maybe renew your gym membership, hoping to drop a few pounds and hopefully start feeling more energetic, feeling younger, and feeling more like yourself again. Ketogenic diets produce rapid weight loss, but often leave you feeling weaker with loose or saggy skin as well. Machines and bodybuilding routines are effective at building muscle, but if you want to move athletically, burn fat faster, and reach your full strength potential, then you can't ignore power training. Strength is the absolute amount of force that you can produce. Power is how quickly you can produce that force. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how power training can help you to achieve your full strength potential. Hi, my name is Aaron Kubitz. I'm the founder of Functional Aesthetics of Eau Claire, where I blend science and innovation to help busy guys in their 40s build muscle, shed fat, and perform better in life without living in the gym. Age-related decreases in strength until your late 60s and maybe early 70s have less to do with decreases in muscle size or just being older. Now, yes, every decade after 30, you can expect to lose 3 to 5% of your muscle mass if you're not following a strength training program. But the reason why guys feel slower, maybe aren't as strong, not as quick, don't feel as athletic in their 40s and their 50s, it has less to do with these decreases in strength and getting older, and more to do with a loss of the efficiency of your nervous system. So let me explain. When you first start lifting weights, in the first couple of months, you experience rapid increases in strength, but not necessarily, and for many guys in high school, to their chagrin, is that the muscle size doesn't increase at the same rate as their strength. This is because most of the strength gains that you experience early on in your lifting have to do with increases in the efficiency of your nervous system, or how your ability of your body to access and fully utilize all the muscle that it has available to it, and coordinate the effort of that muscle in unison to produce maximal force output. Now, as you progress after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, and you're building more muscle, then those increases in muscle size are contributing more to your increased strength gains. However, there is a point where, if you've been training consistently for, let's say, 2-3 years, you're going to get to this point where those gains start to become a lot harder to get, right? And after 10 years of training, you've probably, achieved most of the muscle size that you're going to be able to achieve unless you go and hop on anabolic steroids. So the good news is, though, that even though the muscles don't continue to grow bigger at the same rate that they did in the beginning, you can continue to increase your strength for many years after that increase in size slows down. And this again has to do with the continued increase in in the efficiency of your nervous system in recruiting and accessing your strength. It's like the quote from Bruce Lee where he said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks, but I fear the man who has practiced 10 kicks, or one kick 10,000 times." In other words, with most things in life, the more that you do it, the better you get at it. And so with age, there was a strength coach who had chimed in on one of my posts on Facebook. I had asked, how has your training changed between when you were in 20 versus now when you're 40, right? And his answer actually surprised me, and I'm sure it surprised a lot of the other guys who were following the thread, but he said, "I'm much better at 40 than I was at 20. And he then went on to explain, and it made a lot of sense, this same concept. With most things, like when you started your career, let's say you graduate college, you go out there, you get your first job, and let's say you are a lawyer, an engineer, something like that. If you continue in that field for another 10 years, Are you better after 10 years being in that field than you were when you just got out of college, or are you worse? Most of you are going to say that you're better after 10 years in the field. You have more experience of seeing it and applying the concepts from theory to application and in a wide variety of contexts. Same thing goes with your lifting. And so you can continue to experience these increases in the efficiency of your nervous system, even after the increases in muscle size slow down, okay? So the reason why most guys start getting slower, though, is because after high school or college, not just slower, but also, not being as strong as they were in their 20s or their 30s, is because after high school or college, most guys stop doing anything athletic. Maybe they might go for a jog, or they might do a fun run with the family or something. Maybe they'll go to the gym and do, some, just random maybe just hang out on the curls and the bench press, or whatever their favorite exercise is. But they stop training like an athlete. They start doing, more aerobic stuff, or training kind of like a bodybuilder. And, there's nothing wrong with jogging. There's nothing wrong with bodybuilding. In fact, in my Hybrid Strength online course, my Hybrid Strength program for men over 40, I actually integrate 4 distinct strength training styles where you're working on muscular endurance, you're working on maximal strength, you're working on building lean muscle with bodybuilding routines, and you're also working on speed, power, and agility. So all these things have a place in your routine. Nothing against that. What I'm saying is that you're selling yourself short if you stop training like an athlete just because you're no longer playing sports, right? You should still train to be explosive, sprinting, jumping, throwing, kicking, punching, lifting weights explosively, right? These things are going to help you to, not only, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the benefits. So last week I talked about a broad overview of a lot of the benefits that you can achieve. So you can go back and check out that video that I did last week if you're interested in those, and I'll be covering those in more detail in future videos. But there's numerous benefits to power training and continuing to train like an athlete. So at the beginning of the video, I had said that I was going to be talking about how power training can help you to achieve your full strength potential. And so I'm going to clarify that, and we're going to talk about that here right now. So as I said at the beginning of the video, strength is how much force you can produce, right? How much can you deadlift? How much can you squat? How much can you bench press? Move the weight from point A to point B, right? Power is how quickly can you do that? How fast, or the rate of force development, how fast can you produce the force, okay? So how does that help you become a better bench presser, squatter, deadlifter, and just be an overall stronger human being by training power? Well, the heavier the weight gets, right, the more critical it is that you remain concentrated and focused when you're doing it. And momentary lapse in concentration when you are going for a 1 rep max squat, deadlift, or bench press will mean the difference between completing the lift or failing that lift, right? If you lose your concentration for a split second when you're doing all that, when you're working at max capacity, in all likelihood you are going to fail that lift, okay? So with power being how fast, and speed being about how fast you can relax and then contract a muscle, when you are training your nervous system to be able to efficiently do that, to turn on and turn off, right, really fast, that means that when you're doing the squat, you're doing the eccentric, right? You're lengthening under the load, you're somewhat relaxing, right? It's actually, you're doing a controlled contraction as you lengthen down, right? But as you're going down on that squat, once you hit the bottom, the faster you can turn those muscles back on means that you will be able to push through the hardest part of the lift, or the sticking point, faster, right? So typically with squat, that's going to be, once you're in the bottom here, that's going to be probably the most difficult part right there. And then, if you're doing the bench press, coming off the chest, or usually you're kind of getting stuck like right about here. So the faster you can generate force out of the bottom, the most difficult part of your lift, the more likely you are to be able to break through that, blast through the sticking point, and continue the lift through the easier portions of the lift. So in this way, training for power will translate over to help you to actually generate more strength, and vice versa. And that's why actually in the Hybrid Strength program, we start off with training more like the power, like in the first phase of the thing, if you have, we're exposing you to all this stuff. So this is not hybrid strength training, but we're laddering you up, right? So we'll do some powerlifting phase before we start doing the sprint phase, the speed, power, and agility phase, because if you've built a good, strong base of strength, that's going to increase your power potential, right? And if you have good power, that's going to translate back to your strength. So they both feed and work to support each other. And that's why if you want to become the most athletic or the strongest version of yourself, you can't just focus on lifting heavy weights all the time, right? Lifting heavy is important, right? Progressive overload, but there's other aspects of training that synergize and work together in concert with that. So for example, the muscular endurance training can help you to recover from heavy lifting sessions, right? It'll recover faster so that you can go and train more frequently, right, at higher intensities. The bodybuilding part helps you to increase muscle size, like I was talking about at the beginning, right? Bodybuilding helps to increase total muscle size so that you have more strength potential. Now you start training it and practicing it. Remember the 10,000 or the one kick 10,000 times. Now you have a more strength potential because of bigger muscle. Now you train that bigger muscle to produce more force, meaning that you're going to be a stronger individual, right? And then speed and power and agility, that helps you to fully express or express that maximal strength better, right? And then being stronger helps you to be able to produce more force. And because you can produce more force, if you train your body through power training to produce that force more quickly, you're going to be able to run faster, jump higher, etc. All right, guys, that's all I've got for the video. Hopefully you found some value out of that video. If you'd like to check out my hybrid strength program, link is down below. You can schedule a free consultation, or there's a lot of free ebooks and everything down in the description down below this video. You can download. They have stuff related to diets, stuff related to hybrid strength workouts, determining your calorie needs, all these different things down in the description below. Be sure to check back next week where I'll be covering how to improve your heart health or your cardiovascular health, preventing heart attacks and strokes later on, and also improving athleticism as well for younger guys like us in our 40s and our 50s who are not too concerned about having heart attacks and strokes at this point in our life. If you want to do that without long, boring cardio sessions, without risking losing your muscle and strength, then you're going to want to check in next week on that video where I talk about how you can improve your cardiovascular health without the traditional forms of aerobic exercise. All right, guys, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content related to workout design for building muscle, improving athletic performance, burning body fat, same thing with the nutrition end of things. Nutrition for, losing body fat, building muscle, improving your athletic performance, and then how to work around injuries if you should stay in the gym, and then how to prevent getting those injuries in the first place, then this is the channel for you. This is the channel for guys over 40 who want to continue staying strong, staying healthy for many decades to come. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. I'll see you all next time.